Hello everyone, Shambrick Customs here, today with the part 1 of the casting methods, today using terracotta clay, which you can buy generally from any good modelling store. It comes in a block, about 2 times the size of this. This is the remainder of the block, and the brand that I use is Jovi. But yeah, I'll put a link to where you can buy that sort of stuff on my blog, so keep an eye out for that. Now, using terracotta clay, there are 2 ways in which you can make a mould with it. Today I'll be showing you the first one, and this method you produce things like this. So you can see it's a geonosing head. There's 2 halves. So essentially what we'll be doing at the end is you'll make 2 halves of a head. You'll sand these down, all the offcuts and everything, and you end up joining them together, and that's what the head will be. Now for this method you can't cast complex shapes with undercuts. So for example, if there's something that will fill that the clay will fill into, that will prevent you from pulling it out when the clay is dry, then it's not really the method for you, and you'll have to use one of the later casting methods that I will show you how to do. You'll probably use a silicone based sink stuff for complex shapes. Okay, but the first thing you want to do is you want to construct a mould box, sort of like what I've done here. I made mine out of Lego, which is extremely simple. You just build it so you have about 5 to 10 millimeters extra space around where you put your head, where you will impression your head or whatever. That's what I've done here. You can see there's about 10 millimeters there, and there's about 5 millimeters there. So, and you also want it deep enough to accommodate the head. So the depth you're going to be pressing your head into, you probably want it to be double that in terms of depth. So if you can see there, the depth is double what it needs to be. So when you're impressioning it, you don't want it to be, only as deep as how much you're going to impression the head, because if you did that, then you'd end up hitting the table or whatever's underneath, and you wouldn't be able to capture the detail of the head. But after you've completed your box, you've got to fill in the clay, so pack the clay in nice and tight, and you want it nice and smooth, so like what I've done here. And a good way of doing that is, after you packed it nice and tight, get a paintbrush, dipped in water, and just wash it around. The reason that works very well is because a paintbrush with water reacts with the terracotta. Terracotta is a material that will react with water and will basically turn into mud, so just a light sprinkling of water will smooth this out. Now, what you want to do now, after you've wet it and smoothed it off, you want just the surface water to dry, which should take 10 minutes, and then you want to impression your head. You want to be very, very careful with it, and just press it straight down into the clay till halfway. Even a little bit over halfway, because when you're sanding the excess off, there is a chance that you'll over sand, so maybe pressing it a little bit over halfway will allow for mistakes later on. Just press nice and easy, because if you don't, you can actually end up warping it by pressing it, to the side slightly, and that can end up warping the impression, which means you won't get a perfect half. After you've impressioned it, you leave it overnight. Which means the clay will dry up a little bit, it will shore up a little bit more, and this is why I prepared one beforehand, because now I can show you guys what it will look like when I take the mould out. So after you leave it overnight for the clay to shore up, you can actually remove the mould. Now when lifting out the actual headpiece, make sure you lift straight up, don't lift it by pressing it to the side, because you'll end up warping the wet clay below it, because the clay will still be wet below it. So I'll show you how to do that. We can't afford to take off a few of the Lego blocks now because the clay has dried up a little bit. A good way of doing it is take one if you want, put it in the headpiece, and put an opposite force against it from the other side, and pull straight up. And just be patient with it. It might take a little bit of coercing, but it's not a race, just take your time. So it's really in there. And a good thing to use for this would be tweezers. I don't have any on me right now, but there we are. And there what you have left over is a perfect impression of this half of the Coleman Tremble figure. So after you've removed it, generally I would say leave it probably 2 to 3 hours under a hot lamp, just to dry off a little bit. And that will just ensure that it's very surface dried, so you can remove your Lego mold box. And after you've removed your Lego mold box, you can put the terracotta clay in the oven if it is an oven safe brand. So really do try and make sure it's an oven safe brand, because it will just speed up the time. And then 30 minutes in a 180 degrees Celsius oven will cure it. It will be nice and hard, and then you can go into the next step, which will be the filling of the plastics. And that's what I will show you in the next video. You'll be filling it with plastic. I'll show you what plastics to use. I'll put links to what plastics to use down in the description, and also on my blog. And yeah, for the next 2 videos, I will show you how to complete this step. So the next step, I'll show you how to add the plastic, and then the third step, I'll show you how to remove the plastic from the terracotta, and then I will show you the second terracotta casting method, which is a double. It's the opposite to the halving, so you're essentially going to be casting a full head, not the halves. But again, it's a harder method. This is a really good one for beginners, and I do suggest you use it. Really good, guys. Cheap, effective. I mean, you can get 100 of these moulds out of one block of terracotta, which costs $7 New Zealand. So, really cheap method, and actually produces very good results. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Keep your eye out. Please rate, comment and subscribe, and yeah, have a good day.